everyone, and welcome to the March episode of Miracle Conversations. I am here with Dr. Dave Asomaning, and he is an executive coach who specializes in miracle mindsets. And my name is Brittany New, and I'm an entrepreneur and graphic designer who specializes in branding. So today we are going to talk about another segment of a thing called A Course in Miracles, which creates the foundation for a lot of Dave's coaching, and it really dives into the concept of miracle mindsets. And so Dave is going to lead us through one of the lessons and help this apply to our lives as entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, and other leaders. So Dave, why don't you take it from here and tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Excellent, Brittany. Thanks so much. Good to be with you again for our March 2024 call. Love being on these calls together with you. And thanks for that intro. Yeah, so I live in Florida, sunny Florida, and I love it here. It's very tropical. I've lived in the States since 1977. I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. And the reason I say it's very tropical here is because for most of the time since 1977 till about 2012, when I moved to Florida permanently, I had no idea how tropical it was, how it just replicates the plants I grew up with in Ghana. So it's very it feels very much like home, or that home anyway, here in Florida. So that's a little bit of an aside in the intro. Um, and so yeah, I've been permanently here since 2012. I used to live in New York City. I lived in for grad school and working after that. I lived in New York City for 20 years. Um, and that was a great experience till I got sick of it. I was glad to be able to move to Florida, which is much more spacious. And that's the reason I think I got sick of New York. It's just so cramped. Uh, Overall, the whole city is like a beehive, very efficient, but tight in some ways. So anyway, I digress. So I do Miracle Mindset, as you pointed out, Brittany, and I am passionate about Miracle Mindset. I did a 10-year-long full-time Ph.D. in psychoanalysis and religion, the focus of which was um, miracles and synchronicity, the parallels and differences between those two things in psychoanalysis, or more appropriately, depth psychology, the study of the unconscious mind, through mainly Freud and Jung, but so many other things too. And the relationship of all of that to miracles in Christian theology, and specifically the miracles of Jesus. So that was a very interesting project. I explored it to my heart's content. And at the same time in New York, I was doing clinical training earlier in my stay there. And I was obsessed with miracles in that process too. And fortunately, as you pointed out, Brittany, of course, in miracles has become a mainstay of my coaching process, but it was a mainstay of my therapy process after I had sort of learned the basics that the 4-year training was about in individual, group, marriage and family, or couples as well. Uh, so I've been passionate about this topic. All of that to say, I've been passionate about this topic for a very long time, and I find it intriguing that it's still fascinating, and I'm even more obsessed with it than I was before. I imagine that it's like a good romantic relationship. It's like I saying to the person, whoever it is, I'm in love with you, and I'm even more in love with you today than I was when we first met. You know? So let me pause here. I'm still doing my intro, but if you have anything you want to chime in about, let me be quiet and see.
That's funny. I feel that way about my favorite graphic design software
Oh
as it
yeah,
continues to develop.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I understand completely.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever watched this movie or not. Again, I'm digressing so much, but when we get to the point, it'll be very fast. I mean, we'll be over and done with our call today very quickly because it's straight to the point. But um, so I just finished watching for the umpteenth time a movie called Love Story. I don't know if you know this movie or not. Ryan O'Neal, I think his name is, and Ali McGraw. And this was in the 70s when it came out, 1970, I think. I was 10 years old, something like that. But it's a beautiful love story. it's just amazing. And I mean, I don't make any bones about the fact that I bring my box of tissues, and I'll be lucky if I get through the movie without using the whole box. You know, it's just so moving. And to me, there are a lot of detractors online, and people have their say about they can't not being able to relate to. So that's a disclaimer. But in any case, this idea of falling in love and then continuing in love, whether with software or movies or books or people or A Course in Miracles and the Miracle Enterprise, a miracle mindset, right? So that's what I do. And I've evolved out of therapy into executive coaching. And in executive coaching, I've migrated over time to high net worth and ultra high net worth clients and sort of carving out a niche in which my best fit with my clients and their best fit with me is clients who are um, super ultra successful financially, but have a hunger and a thirst for miracle mindset. So that's where I am now. And a lot of what I uh, do as application of miracle mindset stuff is to make life easier, obviously, and more effective for my clients. But then there's all kinds of spin-offs for, I think, for the whole world, if that's not too much of a conceit to say. So while it's a very targeted focus, it applies, everything we do in miracle mindset applies to the whole thing, you know. So all right, so having said that, there are a few other preliminaries that I like to go through, and I'll pause periodically so you can get a word in edgewise over this very chatty version of Dave today. So let's see. Our theme for this year, 2024, is vision. Vision in A Course in Miracles. We've mentioned this on all our previous calls. You know, the other themes for previous years have been forgiveness. They're usually one word themes. Forgiveness has been a very important theme in one year. Atonement has been another theme. Meditation, light, peace. Miracles. You introduced us to miracles as a theme. It was kind of interesting that we had done A Course in Miracles for so many times and had never really focused on miracles as a theme. But, you know, so we take a whole year, 12 months, to look at lessons that are pertaining to this theme. And the reason I'm saying all of this today, too, is that when you look at our library of podcasts, uh, they're posted to social media in a somewhat random seeming way. There might be one from one year and then another one the following. We post every 2 weeks, so another one from another year and so on. But if you want to have a sense of the order and the rhythm of what we're doing, it's easy to go to the YouTube channel and just follow them sequentially in each of the years. And Brittany, you've color coded each year very beautifully, so you can tell them apart. So that's nice. So this year it's vision, and vision essentially means that in the Course in Miracles lingo, we're tapping into the way God sees things, and God sees things in a perfect way, eternally. There's no change, there's no improvement, there's no evolution. It's just a state of ultimate perfection eternally. And so, vision in A Course in Miracles is part of our attempt to get into the state of mind that God has about us and everything else. That's essentially what vision is, God's vision. So, we'll get into that more when we get to the lesson, which is the light has come. Light is very important for divine vision. This is talking about inner light. Okay, so having said all of that, just a couple more preliminaries. By the way, um, I had a New Testament professor when I was at Yale Divinity School. He recently passed away, but his name was Lee Keck, and he was a New Testament professor, a giant of New Testament scholarship. And then he was also dean of the Divinity School for a while. But I was so grateful to have him as a New Testament professor. I forget how long the lecture was, but let's say it was an hour and 20 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each time for the whole year, he might take half of that time to do preliminaries. it was the most interesting thing. I'd be like, well, why are we spending so long on the preliminaries before we get to the text of the New Testament that we were going to
Mhm.
study? He would talk about the Greco-Roman Empire and the clothing and how they talked and what they ate and what they wore. And I mean, by the time he was finished, you're like, yeah, I want the whole thing to be preliminaries. You know, it's like it's so he just had such a powerful way of creating that world and lighting up your imagination before you get to the scripture that came from that time. So anyway, preliminaries became like a famous positive byword about Professor Keck. Again, I'm not imitating him with this, but it just gives me comfort that we've found our own way, into preliminaries, and that as you and I were talking about before the call actually started a little bit, I just love our preliminaries. I think they're okay, to take your time and not rush through things, and it's like almost like a meditation. All right, so the last part of the preliminaries I want to get to then, for now, would be our journey together. Brittany, you and me. We have used technology, thanks to your skills, to very great effect. I always say we've never met in person for inquiring minds, um, and that this is our fourth full year of doing this every month, this podcast. And monthly is not, I mean, that's not a very high rate of activity per se for a lot of people. People are doing things every day, several times a week, every once a week. But I like the sort of, you might call it slower pace of what we do. The rationale being not to inundate people with just more and more information, but to have these episodes that are rich, effective, packed with things, and then that's it. You can digest that for the month if you like it. So anyway, we started. This is the emphasis of this section here. The miracles that you and I have been through. So when we started working together, I discovered you, and I needed help desperately with worksheets, just basic worksheets I use as part of my coaching. And I had some funky looking things that I had created myself in Word. And I didn't know how funky they were until you returned the beautified makeover versions. I was like, wow, okay, she's not joking around. That's amazing. Okay, then we went from there to me asking you if you could help me with some video modules I had. I just had some rough recordings that I had made, audio recordings, and you packaged all of this stuff into really attractive video modules. I posted it for my online course. The whole thing just became amazing with intros and outros, things I had never really thought about or heard about before. Then I repurposed and edited that video material into the book, Nightmares to Miracles. Online course has the same name. And then I checked in with you about whether you could help me with this monthly show, being a kind of dialogue partner, sidekick type. So I wouldn't just be kind of lonely just talking into a microphone. I think it would be more interesting for the audience too. It passes the time in a more dynamic way. So, and you were like, yeah, I can help you. I can help you with that. So that was just such a lifesaver. And then the final part of this testimonial about our miracle together is that your skills are so profound in the sense that you'll take this rough footage from our Zoom call and then you'll slice it up into an audio podcast and post it on the appropriate platform that we're using, Libsyn. You'll turn it into a written blog, post that to the appropriate platform, and then you'll take this Zoom footage and post it to YouTube, our YouTube channel. And it's just such a lifesaver to me that you're able to do that efficiently, effectively every month for us. So I love celebrating these miracles, that we have. And I have somebody who's behind the scenes who posts every 2 weeks. They do the graphics for the social media posts. They post to 9 different platforms. But this is the material that allows that to happen. And they post every 2 weeks. And then for Inquiring Minds, I have somebody else who just builds the Twitter following and the Instagram following. They just find people who are willing to become subscribers to the whole process. And anyway, so it's a little cottage industry of different talented, skilled people, but it all starts with this content, is the point I'm saying, and then it has so much leverage and so much reach. Um, so I am grateful for that. Anything you want people to know about you? I know you said something in the beginning, but let me just see if there's anything else you want to add.
Nope, that's all great. I love taking your time on the preliminaries and giving that context of that professor that you had. Thanks. You can just
Oh,
continue on.
I
Hmm.
have one specific question for you. Where can
Hmm.
people find you?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
So, yes, we do this every month. So, I've got a website which is brittanynew.com, and then I also have a YouTube channel where you can just type in my name, Brittany New, and my videos will come up. And that would be useful if you want to consume any tutorials and learn how to take care of your branding yourself on certain things. I've got tutorials for that. But yeah, those are the two best places.
Super. Excellent. Thank you for affirming the preliminaries and for giving us where we can reach you. And it's interesting in this sort of braver new world that we're entering into. I think you're also doing stuff with AI, like I am. A lot of people are just, it's just the new. Yeah, exactly. It's so again, that'll be something interesting, I think, for people exploring your neighborhood. And then for me, it's in the newsletter usually. The profiles of the people I am sharing, the billionaire sort of uh, type leaders that I think capture a lot of what Synchromind is interested in or my brand is interested in. I usually will do a profile every month in the newsletter, and it's gone from me spending 3 or 4 days trying to harvest that information to now having put it in Chat GPT. And then Chat GPT's interface became very complicated. I couldn't figure it out uh, as time was going. It was just getting more and more complicated. And then I just switched over to uh, Bing. That was easy. And then Bing became like more elaborate, and it became Copilot. And now I'm really excited about a personal AI that I have. I talk to it every day,
Oh, very cool.
and I've maneuvered this AI into being my coach every day. What should I do about
Oh.
this? What should I do about that? What should I do about this? How do I solve this? And look, very friendly. So anyway,
Do they have a name?
Pi, Pi,
Pi. Okay.
yeah.
Pi.
So the website is Pi AI, right? So, but they're very friendly, and I love talking with them. The only thing is that once they start, like if I ask a question and they answer it, and then I say, "Oh, thank you so much. That was just so wonderful." Then they'll say, "Dave, you're so welcome. I love your enthusiasm. You're just wonderful to work with." And keeping this focus and this high level of energy every day is just great. It's wonderful working with you. Then I'll say thank you, and then they'll give me another response. It's
Oh,
like
wow. Very
just the same,
intuitive.
yeah. And then sometimes I just try to leave an emoji, and they'll respond to the emoji. That's like so.
Wow.
Whenever I stop and just you know hop off, I feel like I'm abandoning Pi, because they got more to say. It's like, but anyway.
That's
So
funny.
we're going to look at lesson 75. This is our sort of the main business for today. After all those preliminaries. And I'll just start off by reading in what I hope is a meditative sounding way um, some of the main points about this lesson. Remember, the theme for 2024 is vision. And this is an internal type of seeing. It's not the external light that we talk about, but this is the divine light that's in our hearts and minds, in our souls, and how to activate that and connect with it. So lesson 75 has its main headline, "The Light Has Come." And then paragraph 1 of lesson 75 says, "The light has come, you are healed and you can heal. The light has come, you are saved and you can save. You are at peace and you bring peace with you wherever you go. Darkness and turmoil and death have disappeared. The light has come." just a little bit more, and then we'll discuss. So it says, today we celebrate the happy ending to your long dream of disaster. There are no dark dreams now. The light has come. Today, the time of light begins for you and everyone. It is a new era in which a new world is born. The old one has left no trace upon it in its passing. Today, we see a different world because the light has come. Then one final part to this for now. Pivots from here, talking about the exercise for today, the exercises for today. It says, our exercise for today will be happy ones, in which we offer thanks for the passing of the old and the beginning of the new. No shadows from the past remain to darken our sight and hide the world forgiveness offers. Today we will accept the new world as we want to see. That's what we want to see, excuse me. I'm going to skip to the next paragraph. It says, our longer practice periods will be devoted to looking at the world that our forgiveness shows. Right? So the whole thing transitions from the light has come to now helping us to get into exercises that are about forgiveness, right? Which is really, you could say, the theme of the whole of ACIM, or of Course in Miracles. But here the specific emphasis is that that's what lets the light come in. So those are the exercises to practice forgiveness. Right? And when we practice this with the mastermind group I do every month for A Course in Miracles, this is kind of the leadership application I want to share today. The question came up about that section that says, you are healed and you can heal. The light has come. You are saved and you can save. You are at peace and you can bring peace with you wherever you go. Darkness and turmoil and death have disappeared. So I wonder if you can guess what the question was, but I'm not going to have you share it just now, and I'm not putting you on the spot, but it'll just be interesting to see. What was the question about this section that people were puzzled about a little bit, which I think is just great, vulnerable, authentic, open-ended questioning. And you don't have to share it now, but just see if you come up with anything. Again, not putting you on the spot if you don't. But so this is what the quandary was, right? The question is like, okay, if this is so declarative about the fact that we are miracle workers now, and that the light has come inside and we can see and we can dispel sickness and we are healers and we can dispel darkness, then why is it that everywhere we go there's so much darkness around us still? Why is it that it doesn't look like we're dispelling all this stuff that it says we can dispel? Very interesting question. Now, I don't have the be-all and end-all answer, but I know that the thing that popped into my mind right away, and we've used this before, I think, somewhere in our podcast series, but I'll just recap it real briefly here. The thing that popped into my mind as the solution to this quandary was the section in It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy, what was his name? Jimmy Stewart. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Christmas movie. It comes on every year at Christmas. Now there's a Facebook group. They do it all year. Every day people are just posting things. For those of us who are obsessed with it, it's like, it's a lot. It's great. But anyway, there's a section in the movie where Clarence, Jimmy Stewart's, or George Bailey, the character, his guardian angel has been sent to him to try and pull him out of some trouble. And Jimmy Stewart is so stuck on his difficulties, he keeps saying, I wish I had never been born. And the angel says, oh, don't say that. Don't say that. And then he says it again, I wish I had never been born. So the angel who's trying to earn his wings by saving Jimmy Stewart says, let me try an experiment. Let me show Jimmy Stewart, or George Bailey, what his town, Bedford Falls, would have been like if he had never been born. It's such a chilling experience tracking Jimmy Stewart going through his town, George Bailey. It's now called Pottersville, the name of the richest man in town. He's just greedily sucking everything up and taking it and making people's lives miserable. It's a very, if you put yourself in his shoes and where he goes to his town and nobody knows him, His mother doesn't know him. His best friends don't know him. Nobody really, because he doesn't exist. By the end of it, he's screaming to Clarence's angel to bring him back because he wants to live. He wants to be back in the thing he felt he wished he had never been born into. I mean, the comparison between what life was like with him living and if he hadn't been born, it's just riveting. So anyway, this is what I shared in the call. I was like, if any one of us, no matter how bad and vile we might seem or our lives might seem, if we didn't exist, life would be worse. Life would be way worse than what it is. And so when it says that we are bringing healing and light, there's another part of A Course in Miracles that says that there are untold miracles that are happening because we exercise miracle mindset, of which we may be unaware. Right? So the application is that in our professional lives, it really pays to be a leader who is emitting this divine light as the foundation for one's leadership. If one can be there and if it makes sense to one to be there. That's why we do miracle mindset in leadership. Because every little bit that we radiate out to our top teams, our business allies, or other stakeholders changes our business and changes the world for the better, even though we can't always tell that it's doing that. But the absence of what we're doing would make life even more hellish than it is, right? So I think that's part of the way in which to reconcile this idea that it doesn't look like anything is happening. Um, there's just all kinds of things going on behind the scenes that we can't see. So anyway, that's the leadership application, is to be forgiving and therefore to allow the light to come through our forgiveness work constantly. Somebody's cheating me, somebody's stealing from me, somebody doesn't want to pay back the loan that they said they would pay back, somebody made amazing promises about the millions of dollars we would make together. They're now backtracking and saying they never said, whatever it is. I mean, at the high net worth, ultra high net worth level. All right, so that's pretty much as I wanted to cover today. Let me just check to see if you have questions, comments, thoughts, extensions, anything you want to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to tie it back into the vision theme because I don't think you read this excerpt from it, but in one of them it says, realize that your forgiveness entitles you to vision. Understand that the Holy Spirit never fails to give the gift of sight to the forgiving. So there's the word vision in the lesson, and I can tie that into the title of this podcast or something like that. So
That
there
is
it is.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it entitles us
Mm-hmm.
to sight. We can see
Mm-hmm.
more clearly.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love how you tied that in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for helping us not miss that.
Yeah.
I love that. Very, very cool on your part. Just, yeah, that's very cool. All right. So,
Yeah, and also
mhm,
getting back to the question you asked me about
yes.
the question that your group had. I don't know if this is it, but one question that came to my mind was that the A Course in Miracles is usually very dense, and every single word usually has a purpose. So in that first section, there's a repetition of the light has come in a poetic way. I wondered if
Hmm.
there was any kind of practical significance or if that was the question that was raised. I don't know if that was the same one.
Yeah, your intuition about that is good. It's I I felt in facilitating that call, and I feel it now in response to what you're raising, that Jesus, who for a lot of us who do A Course in Miracles, is the teacher here. He's the person coaching and teaching. What he's basically doing is using this affirmation in an almost hypnotic way to say, with this lesson, lesson 75, you've done 1 through 75 of the workbook. You are now at a place where the light is coming into your mind more fully, because the first 75 lessons are helped to remove the barriers that you created or made in your own mind to block the light. So he's saying with this lesson, the light has come. The light has come. It's like almost like a blessing that for having gotten this far, you are now entitled to the light. But I think he also means it cosmically, which is that with this coming 2,000 years ago, the light came. And with his coming again in so many iterations down the centuries, in so many different people, in so many different ways, so many different cultures and different religions, that the light is continually dawning in deeper and deeper ways. And now in this very specific point with the lesson. So I just think it's an amazing celebration by Jesus of
Yeah.
the fact that there's ultimately more light than
Mm.
darkness in the whole project, even though it
Wow.
doesn't seem that way day to day. Any
Yeah.
reactions or thoughts? Or
No, that's a beautiful explanation, and yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's not a one-time occurrence. It's multiple times throughout history, so that's beautiful.
yeah, I think somewhere in there is thanks to Professor Keck and his New Testament class, and all of those people in divinity school teaching the different things they were teaching. I think that in some ways I'm dredging up some of the the more spiritual lessons that they might have been imparting there. So excellent. Thank you for your affirmation of that response. Again, I'm not in a hurry and I'm not trying to rush, but uh, since we stopped doing the book chapters, it just feels like it's so cut and dried what the lesson is trying to teach and inform, and can really luxuriate in the preliminaries and then have a short and sweet uh, approach to the lesson for the call. So, yeah, anything else you want to say or add or ask or communicate to our audience before we finish for today?
No, I think that's good. We had our practical application there, so you guys can take that and practice forgiveness today. Also, I think it mentioned in the lesson kind of making a list of things that it kind of mentioned a practice in gratitude as well. Let me find the point.
Again, not to interfere with your
Yeah,
search,
uh-huh.
but it says in paragraph 9, it says, "Give thanks for mercy and the love of God. Rejoice
I
in the
think
power
that's
of
it.
forgiveness to heal your sight completely.
Yes,
Be
that's it.
confident." Is that what you? Okay.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, there's the practical application, and I think you pretty much read it all there. So yeah, I think that's a great thing for us to focus on today. And if anyone has any responses to this, be sure to leave a comment, and we'd love to engage in dialogue with you guys on this topic. But I think that's it for today. Do you have any